The following instructional presentation of the St. Agnes Reformatory is intended for educational purposes only. All scenarios are fictional, and all characters are above the age of 18. This video is a product of moral edification and is not to be consumed for prurient purposes or the furthering of wickedness or impropriety.
My dear Cecily, as I read your words, your confession of laziness, your plea for discipline, your admiration for Jake's transformation, I feel a fire kindle in my chest, a mix of pride and resolve. You've shown courage, girl, a rare thing for an 18-year-old to admit your faults and beg for a firm hand to guide you. You've stirred something deep in me, something I've held back for years, and I'm ready to answer your call. But hear me, Cecily. You've crossed a threshold. You've asked for discipline, and by God, you'll have it, in ways that will test you, shape you, and bind you to the path of righteousness. I see you clearly, my daughter, with your sharp mind and your dreamer's eyes, but also with that slothful streak you confess, the same one that plagued Jake before the Marines forged him into a man. You sneak out under the moon's pale gaze, the night air cool on your defiant skin, thinking you're clever. You weave lies, your voice steady as you spin tales of studying while the truth festers like damp rot. You're my blood, Cecily, and I love you fiercely, but I've watched you drift, your potential squandered like coins tossed into a dry well. Your letter, though, is a spark in the dark. You see Jake now, his broad shoulders squared, his boots polished to a mirror's shine, his eyes steady with purpose. And you want that for yourself. You're wise to recognize what discipline did for him, and wiser still to ask for it. I'm proud, girl, prouder than you know, but pride doesn't soften what comes next. Let me tell you about the world I came from so you understand the man who'll answer your plea. I grew up in a house of iron, where my father's word was law and his hand was swift. The air in our home carried the sharp scent of leather, his belt, always ready, hanging like a sentinel on the wall. A missed chore, a sassy word, a tardy step through the door, and I'd feel that leather's bite, its crack echoing through the house, the sting blooming hot across my backside. I can still feel the rough grain of the kitchen chair where I'd sit afterward, shame and resolve warring in my gut, knowing I'd earned it. My mother, God rest her, enforced her own rules. Her wooden spoon a lighter but no less firm reminder to mind my manners. That discipline wasn't cruelty. It was love, chiseled into me with every stroke, teaching me to stand tall, work hard, and honor my family. It made me the man I am, steady, dependable, a father who provides and protects. When you and Jake were young, I wanted to raise you the same way. I saw the paddle's place in a home, its weight a tool to carve character from chaos. I'd argue with your mother, my voice low but firm, insisting that a few well-placed spanks would curb Jake's laziness or your defiance. But she wouldn't hear it. Her own scars, wounds from a mother who struck in anger, not love, made her flinch at the thought. I respected her, Cecily, as a man honors his wife. I held back my instincts, locked away the lessons of my youth, and let her softness guide our home. I watched Jake slump on the couch, his eyes glazed with games, and you, slipping out or shirking chores, and it gnawed at me. I knew a firm hand could set you right, but I kept my peace, my hands idle, my beliefs tethered by your mother's fears. Now you've untied that knot, you've asked for the very discipline I've always believed in, and I'm ready to wield it, not as a favor, but as my duty.
Hear this warning, girl. You've opened a door that won't close. Your letter is a contract, signed in your own hand, and there's no turning back. You've begged for spankings, the cane, the paddle, corner time, a uniform, and I'm taking you at your word. This isn't a game, Cecily. You've surrendered your choice in this matter. I've decided to grant your request, and from this moment, you're under my authority, bound by the rules you've laid out and the ones I'll add. My father's house had no room for negotiation, and neither will mine. You'll feel the weight of your choices, the sting of correction, the unyielding structure of a traditional home. I'm not your mother, softening at tears. I'm your father, and my love is ironclad, forged to shape you into a woman of strength and honor.
I see Jake's path in your words, how his boot camp burned away his laziness, left him a man I'm proud to call my son. You're right to see your own laziness mirrored in his past, and I'm glad you're hungry for change. But where Jake faced drill sergeants, you'll face me, and I won't be swayed by pleas or promises. My hand is steady, my resolve unshakable. You've asked for a patriarch's discipline, and you'll have it, delivered with the same certainty that guided my father. I've held back for years, but no longer. Your request has awakened the traditions I was raised with, and I'll bring them to bear, not to break you, but to build you as a father should. You've surrendered your choice, and I've taken up your request with the resolve of a father rooted in tradition. Now, I'll spell out the rules of strictness I'll enforce, the measures I'll wield to shape you, as you've begged me to do. This will be a hard path, girl, and if it makes you feel childish or diminished, that's good. It's meant to. A child needs humbling to grow into honor, and I'll see to it with a steady hand, ensuring you feel every lesson in your bones. You're under my authority now, and I'll mold you into the woman you claim you want to be, using old ways, methods, and means that were old when this country was young. Your request for discipline, spankings, the cane, the paddle, a uniform, has awakened something I've always believed in. The sacred duty of a father to lead his family with a firm, unyielding hand. In recent years, this traditional patriarchal authority, the backbone of strong homes, has been mocked, disrespected, cast aside by a world that's forgotten its value. But you've given me a chance to take it back up, to wield it as it was meant to be. And I'm grateful, girl, for your courage in asking. I want you to understand what this means, Cecily. Your helplessness under my thumb, the love that drives it, the protection it offers, and the discipline it demands. Bearing the bottom of a disobedient daughter for a spanking may be frowned upon by many, but it's still entirely legal, and I'll use it to shape you, because that's what a father does. The air in my study is thick tonight, heavy with the scent of leather and wood, the same air that carried my father's voice when he laid down the law in our home. Back then, a man's authority was unquestioned, his word iron, his hand swift to correct. I grew up under that weight, the crack of a belt sharp in my ears, the sting of it humbling me when I strayed. It wasn't cruelty. It was order, a father's love carved into his children to make them strong. But these days, Cecily, the world sneers at such things. They call it outdated, harsh, even wrong, as if a man can't guide his family without being labeled a tyrant. They've traded discipline for softness, authority for negotiation. And what's the result? Children like you, drifting lazy, sneaking out under the moon's cold light, thinking no one's watching. I've watched this tide rise, biting my tongue,